Hi everyone, I'm here with Snugger. Say hi, Snugger.
Hiya.
And we're going to read Mary Engelbreit's Nursery Tales, story number 3, Puss in Boots. There once was a young man who had nothing in the world but a cat named Puss. He felt very sorry for himself. He sighed, "What good is a cat?" Hearing this, Puss replied,
A cat is a very fine thing indeed. I agree.
"You agree?"
Mm-hmm. Give me a pair of boots and a sack, and I will make your fortune.
As soon as Puss got his boots, he set off. First he caught a fine rabbit and put it in the sack. Then he boldly made his way to the castle.
I have come to see the king,
he cried.
I bring a gift from my master, the Marquis of Carabas.
The king was pleased with the gift and invited Puss in Boots to stay for supper. The cat ate his fill from the banquet table, and while he ate, he talked. First he told the king how rich the Marquis of Carabas was. Then he told the queen how noble the Marquis of Carabas was. Then he told the princess his master was handsome, brave, and charming. By the time Puss in Boots left the castle, everyone was talking about the mysterious Marquis. Puss had learned that the royal family was about to take a tour of the countryside. He ran back to his master and said,
I have a plan. Go swimming in the river today, and I will make your wildest dreams come true.
While the young man swam, Puss hid his clothes. Then Puss jumped in front of the king's carriage and shouted,
Help! The Marquis of Carabas is drowning!
Quick as a flash, the king's footman jumped in the river and pulled the young man out. Someone has stolen my clothes, the young man cried. So the king gave the young man new clothes to wear and let him sit in his own royal carriage. In his borrowed clothes, the Marquis of Carabas looked just as rich and noble and handsome as Puss had promised. Meanwhile, the cat ran on ahead down the road until he came to some fields that were owned by a fearsome ogre, the terror of the land. He told all the farmers about his plan, and they agreed to help him. Next, Puss in Boots ran ahead to the ogre's castle. He knocked boldly at the door, and the ogre answered, "Ah!" You see, he's got a little thing on his hat that says ogre, O-G-R-E.
Is it true that you can turn into anything you like?
Puss asked. The ogre proudly turned into a lion.
But it must be easy for an ogre to turn into a lion,
said Puss in Boots.
An ogre could never turn into something tiny, like a mouse.
The lion roared and turned into a mouse. In a flash, Puss ate him up, and that was the end of the ogre. Along the road, the king saw farmers working. When he asked who owned the land, the farmers did just as Puss had told them and said, "The Marquis of Carabas." Puss in Boots stood by the ogre's castle gate. When the king came by, Puss called,
The Marquis of Carabas welcomes you.
The king and the queen and the princess ate a marvelous supper in the castle with the Marquis and his cat. Before long, the princess and the Marquis of Carabas were engaged to be married. On the day of his wedding, the Marquis of Carabas turned to Puss in Boots and said, "Thank you, my friend. You were right. A cat is a very fine thing indeed." The end. Thanks for listening, everyone. Say bye, Snugger.
Bye-bye.
Bye.